Cool.
And Mark.
There you go, sir. Thanks, all right, good. Anything new in the world of ODOT? All status quo, Craig ain't quit yet, is he?
No, he hasn't quit yet.
Oh, maybe, but in retirement.
Today is the DME interviews
Oh, it is,
to replace Tammy.
yeah,
So
what's the schedule on that one?
Craig would interview for
Who knows, maybe he will.
I think Chris Crocker is
Did
interviewing,
he put in for, I figured he would.
and the area engineer from the Popper Bluff area, Matt Wilkerson's,
Matt Wilkers. Okay.
he's interviewing, I think, as well.
Has he been over there a long time, or?
Um,
He wasn't in Jackson at one time, was he?
he might have been.
Seems like I met him
So he-
somewhere along the way, but I don't remember where.
At one point, I thought he was, might have been Jackson. And I thought maybe at one point, maybe it's a little bit north, like up around Fredericktown or something.
Okay.
Years ago, but
The name
But he-
sounds familiar.
he's been the area engineer since Wyman.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, there you go.
When Wyman retired, then he took.
He was there. Okay,
So-
all right. I was wondering about that. Well, I remember. Good, sir. Is that the only ones you know of then, Joe, or
It's
that's the lead?
So-
Candidates probably.
I think there's did you ever meet Amy Bryan? She works out. She might be,
I don't guess so.
she might be. interviewing.
Okay.
Because she's the assistant.
Oh, yeah.
She's the assistant.
How long's Tammy been in that?
I remember who had it before her.
That's what I was trying to remember.
Was, I think maybe it was Jeff Johnson from Lobo.
Oh,
So it may go back whenever he retired. So it's probably been 7, 8 years, maybe a little bit longer.
I'm trying to keep up with it, you know. But you know, that's been. Since I left, I don't know who's in what roles. Well. Yeah, a lot of change.
Yeah.
So then going all right, Jay? Yes, sir. Trying to clean up after the big sale. Yeah, I can make your hands full. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's very, yeah, I'm very glad to see that. Because. God, Tom. Oh, yeah, but I've heard the same thing. I've heard that song several times.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah,
how's your drive down?
had a good tailwind,
Yeah.
rain from last hour or so. Very much, some pretty hard, but it's kind of northwest.
It's alternating. It'll be, you know,
Just
just a 3 year.
weather forecast was
So every
changed,
year
so
we
they
have-
scattered throughout, and just, it's still cool.
I was gonna get in the truck about 15 minutes ago and I'm like, it's a windshield wet.
Right.
It looks like it's sprinkled just a little bit. My neighbor's over in mowing.
Yeah, he is,
He's
absolutely.
out there on his mower going. It's like, he's not gonna let it bother him.
So there's. And John Caston. She's in the middle of the rural house business. And then, I guess, full life, my family. They have that, then his family away. That's the three. Those are three good guys. And that, you know, I mean, your happiness is greatly. Absolutely. That's just counting heads. There we go. Let's start.
Are your schools till the next Monday?
Some of them are, like my granddaughter, they're on spring break all this weekend. I think they just extended it till Monday just to make sure. But then I don't like some of the daycares are. They're not gonna take the kids outside. They're not gonna mess with it. You know, they don't wanna take a risk on liability of some kid falling down in classes and.
Not gonna try to do our budget. Maybe until next. Why you get it done early? They're getting the threats for the next. Alright, I have 11:02. I think we get started at bridge.
We'll go ahead and call it order. We'll start with introductions. I'm Drew Christian with SEMO RPC, and I am
Interim chair.
I'm the interim chair.
There you go.
We'll go with that. We'll go with this.
Be careful, it's what
Interim for like the next
My name
45 minutes.
is Jake Newton, and I'm here representing Cape Girardeau.
Mark Phillips, Cape Special Road District.
Tom Caldwell, IDOT.
Joe Killian, MoDOT. I would like to introduce Melissa Rose, who is taking over the LPA role for MoDOT for the Southeast District. So I'm sure many of you will be seeing her working with LPA projects. You would say something.
That's not
Sorry,
a
I
good
just-
No, thank you.
What's the last one? Roast?
Rose, ROSE, yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Marla Mills, KLG Engineering and SEMPO staff. Ilana Stress, the transportation planner at Lockport.
Jonathan Corbett, National Architect, Planning Design Studio. Scott Mulcamp, Project Manager, Planning Design Studio. Kevin Neal, Transportation Planner with Lockmuller Group.
Alex McElroy, SEMPO staff. And on the line, start with the names, Ryan Strickland, Cecily Cochran, Mike Henderson, Michael Brandon. And then, for the phone numbers, if you wouldn't mind just stating your name real quick. The
2998 is Ryan Trumplin. The 2998 is Ryan Trumplin.
Okay. What about the 6429?
Betsy Tracy, Federal
Hello.
Highway Administration, Illinois Division.
Oh, welcome, Betsy. Normally says your name. All right, so we got everybody.
All right, we do not have a quorum, so we don't need to adopt the agenda. We'll approve the minutes. There are no communications from the interim chair. Any public comments? None. We'll go on to the regional trail connection study.
Yeah, so we've brought in our consultants. Again, we partnered with Plain Design Studios and their partnering firm with Lockmuller to help us with our regional trail connection study. And even though it took us a while to get an RFP out and a consultant selected, we are now ready to kick this project off. So I appreciate them coming down, and we'll turn it over to them.
If you could bring up the slide, we've just got a few slides to go over today, and just want to say how much we appreciate the opportunity to be year and kind of kick off this week. Took a little while to kind of get the kickoff schedule, but we got it scheduled, so we're ready to get going and excited about it. So it should be a fun project. So today, excuse me, I think go to the next slide. We've already done introductions. We'll go through a quick overview of our team. Some of the project tasks and little thoughts on public participation. Kind of put a quick schedule together, which we need to confirm, and then but we're going to be working on the next slide. Again, our team is comprised of Planning Design Studio as the lead. We're a landscape architecture firm that does a lot of kind of trail planning and park planning in the kind of the whole kind of St. Louis region. We've done a lot of work in Cape Girardeau in the past. The Cape LaCroix Trail kind of wayfinding is a project that we did. Some plus parks here too. And I guess my experience, I'm landscape architect and 35 years experience doing this type of work. I'm an avid cyclist, and so we brought our bikes down. So we're going to do some riding over here if the weather holds up. But, should be a lot of fun. So my staff is Jonathan. So if you want to talk about yourself. Yeah, I'm also an architect here, and we've been with Scott doing quite a few of these trail plans in different parts around the St. Louis, from master planning all the way to final construction. Excited to be down here.
Thanks, Scott. As I mentioned before, my name is Kevin Neal, transportation planner with Lockmuller Group. Some of y'all may be familiar with Lockmuller. We've had a history of working here in the region with MPO and a few other local agencies. We're currently working on the safety action plan with SEMPO for the region and have done some other work like the LRTP, most recent LRTP. So excited to bring our experience on local projects to this trail connection study. And, you know, in addition to myself, I'll have a lot on board, and we've got a host of other folks whose experience in the area and expertise in kind of that interface between active transportation and roadway, and where those facilities intersect, how we can still create safe, functional, and efficient crossing. So we're excited to be a part of the team, and looking forward to really digging in and starting today.
You know. And we've got a really solid team between the work we'll do and Lockmuller. We're due, you know, and we worked together before on projects and known each other for a very long time. So this is good. This will be fun. So hopefully that'll be fun for you guys too as we get going through this. But that's our team. So we'll go next to the next slide. And really, it's kind of broken down into 5 different main tasks. So this being task 1 for the project kind of startup and kickoff. So we're here now. One of the things that we'll talk a little bit about later is just kind of this project steering committee. And, you know, I've made some assumptions, but we'll need to talk through how, you know, if there's other individuals who want to try to get on that steering committee. I have, like I said, put together kind of a project timeline. So we'll talk about that in a minute, and then we'll be talking about the participation. But starting this afternoon, we're doing what's called discovery or data collection. Like I said, we've got our bikes, so we're going to be riding the existing trails and just kind of going through both Cape and City of Jackson to you know, kind of put together as much as we can in terms of understanding what's out there and how it's being used and the condition and that kind of stuff. So as we get through that discovery, you know, we've already done some mapping, and we've worked with the GIS folks to try to get as much data as we can. So kind of going through that process, we'll be setting up visions and goals, and you know, then we'll be looking at destinations, things like that. Also, we'll have an online survey that we'll do. We'll need your help kind of getting that out, but talk about that again in the public participation. And then task 3 is the routing analysis. We're gonna come with 3 different routing analysis as we go through, looking at, where we can go with these different alignments, and then we'll have a matrix too that will help to evaluate, the pros and cons of the different alignments that we come up with. Part of that will be meetings with steering committee, meetings with the public as we go through this, and then the task 4 is the recommendations. So that will be looking at how you can phase and implement all the trail alignments, another public meeting, and then kind of wrapping that up at the end with the final report. So any questions about the tasks? All right, next slide. So typically, opportunities for public input, like I said, during discovery task, it'll be an online survey, which really helps to have yard signs out with a QR code that, somebody's in a park or in a trail or in, a space like this, they can, put their phone up to that QR code, and then it'll get them to a link to the survey. So we can, help make the artwork for those signs if you guys can get them made.
I was curious about that when I
Yeah.
saw it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's really helpful, and it's, again, especially to have those in parks and then along the trails is a great way to get folks to hopefully stop and take a picture and get their input for the meeting. Routing analysis, another opportunity. Once we have those 3 alternatives kind of developed, we'll want to have a public meeting to get input on that. And then during the recommendations phase and implementation. So like that, have kind of a preferred alignment based on the input, and then just give one more chance for the public to provide input on that. And then at the end, it'll be the open house. You guys have a newsletter. You've got, the SEMPO website, the city of Cape Girardeau website, and the city of Jackson websites. We also, you guys have Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I guess we as a firm don't do too much on Twitter, but I think you guys do have, or X, I guess it's called X. But, anyway, so I think, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram are probably good ones for us. And then, if you do have, community events in the parks, if you have Italian Fest or whatever, there's opportunities, and we'll need to identify when those happen and things like that. But that's definitely a way that we can get information out that the project is happening, and then get input. So those are opportunities for public participation, and that's always an important part of doing studies like these. So next slide. So generally, project like this is 9 to 12 months, and it really just depends on how long it takes to get that information in from the public for you guys to do reviews. But of the 5 tasks, we've got the kickoff meeting we're doing now, kind of the next opportunity to touch base with the committee. And I made an assumption that kind of this technical planning committee would be kind of our main committee, but again, if we want to add, we can do that too. But so I just looked at the dates for these meetings throughout the rest of the year and tried to align that. So does that make sense? So the next one, after we kind of get through the discovery and inventory analysis, so the next meeting will be here June 5th. And then during the routing analysis, kind of happening between July and 3rd. I know that's right before 4th of July. So, but again, if you guys don't have a meeting, then we can move things around. But we'll kind of, again, if this makes sense, then we can move in that direction. And then another steering committee meeting August 7th. And again, a public meeting also on the 7th. So the thought would be to kind of make it be most efficient with our time, is we would have this meeting, at 11 o'clock for the steering committee, have a public meeting kind of that evening. So we kind of
do that on the same day. So that would kind of be the same in task 4 under the October meetings. So a steering committee and then public meeting, and then looking at schedule, usually, after mid-November through December, it's hard to get anything happening for meetings. So kind of push that into January, and then kind of wrapping it up in February. So does that make sense to everybody? Overall schedule?
Yeah, and we had made our committee members know that this project will lead over to our next fiscal year.
Okay.
The timeline is out.
Okay. So next slide. So next steps, like I said, we're going to be a combination of windshield tour and bike tours. And we've started plotting the existing trails in Cape and City of Jackson. So that is really just the start of the data collection. I'm sure we're going to be back down, especially when the weather's better. It's supposed to be a little cold and blustery, but we'll at least want to get a chance to ride some of these trails. Also, there's a lot of previous studies out there, one that Bob Mueller group did, so we have been pouring through that too. But want to keep going through that process. And then as we're out in the next couple of days, we're going to spend the night here and then go back tomorrow afternoon. But try to get as much understanding of potential destinations while we're here. And then when we get back, start working on putting the online survey together. So, that process will come up with a draft of questions for that online survey. It's usually done through SurveyMonkey, and that's something we kind of administer. But we want to send a draft out to this group to make sure that the questions we're asking make sense to you guys, or if there's anything else that you want us to ask. But that that's not a statistically valid survey. It's just, it's an online survey. And we can set it up so you can take it once, but if they have, a phone, a computer, if they really want to dump, but, typically, it is a good way to just get a sense. But, if you were wanting to, like say on a park project, build a new recreation center, you don't want to use, SurveyMonkey to do that. You want to do a statistically valid survey. So, but in this case, we're just trying to get a sense for folks who are feeling about the trail system here. So next slide is just open for questions. So we didn't want to take up all, just wanted to give you a chance to see our faces and ask any questions that you have. And so we will be here for the next couple of days and just trying to learn more about both cities.
And I think coordinating a lot of your meetings and things around our technical planning committee dates, I think is wise.
Okay.
We did have a subcommittee for the purpose of developing our request for proposal.
Okay.
And they were the team that actually did the evaluation scoring. I invited them to participate in this event, but a number of them are very busy professionals in other areas. So I'm certainly going to try to bring them into this group, but we might have additional conversations about what the best committee for this is. But I think the date and time work.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, some of those steering committee meetings will be, virtual, and some will be in person. But if you can give me the contact information for the subcommittee, I can get them, invited to whatever meetings we have coming up. So yeah, I mean, since you're already meeting now, it's makes sense. Just have to add a few more tables. I don't know how many people we got on the subcommittee, but
It was 3 or 4, I think.
yeah. Any other questions or insight? Oh, I did have a question for you, which I forgot to ask. So expectations for this project. Obviously, the previous study, looked kind of larger,
guess, kind of higher elevation, that we'll be doing, but and also that study was done in 17, I think.
Yeah, our 2018 regional bike path plan that Bob Mueller actually conducted. We were very pleased with it. We've used that planning document in numerous TAP applications, transportation alternative program, citing the need and showing public involvement. And it's been very useful, but in our unfunded needs list for multimodal that we send to MoDOT, we've had a continued group of folks that point out we really have no connection between our two cities in terms of the trail system. We kind of have our own independent trails, but with us being border cities, it would make sense if there was more interconnection there. So that was really the initiative behind it. And it took a little bit longer because we had to get the RFP right to make sure that we were dedicating these funds not toward what could be considered engineering services. It had to be for planning purposes, so refining it in that respect took a little bit of time. But I think we're sitting good to get going.
So the Lockmuller study did define a lot of different routes. So, you know, I guess, are you looking for this study to be more of, you know, which one of those are more feasible than another one, or trying to kind of start a new?
It is.
Okay.
It is kind of, and then also looking at alternative routes. We have identified in our 2018 plan a northern connection and a southern connection, which I think are probably what's going to end up being very close to what we pursue. But actually looking at land ownership, alignments are all things that we really haven't evaluated yet. We have more planning behind.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier if there was, you know, railroad connecting between the two cities, or you know, the creeks. You know, the creeks run north-south, not east-west. So
Yeah.
it's a challenge, but I
We
figured
got the major highway.
the highway is major.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, okay, yeah, that was kind of what I want to hear a little bit more about. Kevin, do you have any questions for them right now?
No, I don't think so. But I know as we are out in the field the next 2 days, I'm sure the list of questions may grow. So what we could probably do is coordinate with you, Alex, and maybe either run those questions through you, or if you think there's specific folks that we should be talking to directly, you can always follow up.
Start with me and then I'll start jumping off on other people.
Yeah, you guys are welcome if you have time to, you know, join us on the bike ride. So we're trying to, do you have time to join us? Maybe.
Unfortunately, I had a couple deadlines imposed on me yesterday, so I'm gonna have to be more in my office today and tomorrow.
Okay, fine, no worries, but everybody's welcome to join us when we're here. Any other questions for us?
I don't know if it's so much a question for you, but just as I try to understand this process as a new member. So Alex, this is purely in the study phase. It's not funded anywhere.
No, and nor will it be. The work product will be a study of 3 different alignments to connect Cape and Jack.
And so ultimately, this is laying the groundwork then for a trail connectivity plan that would, in theory, get the city of Jackson, county of Cape Girardeau, and the city of Cape Girardeau on board in a multi-funding collaboration, along with MoDOT perhaps, or other grants that are out there.
Yeah, it would certainly set the stage for that.
To your point about funding too, I think we're at a fairly opportune time for funding of active transportation right now. And, you know, we were excited to see the new active transportation infrastructure investment program coming up. It was one of the discretionary grant programs through the bipartisan infrastructure law. And it's finally been allocated, small funding to the tune of about $45 million. And there's a webinar coming up on that, but as we're thinking about active transportation specific funding, those kinds of opportunities really can help advance a major regional trail project like what we might be looking at. So we'll want to make sure that as we put that implementation plan together, that some of those funding opportunities are outlined, and maybe look at what kind of funding strategies we may employ to bring a trail like this to life.
You know, it's interesting that while certainly there's connectivity challenges, you indicated, the railroad, will probably provide an already established route. You know, you probably have not seen a county park like you've seen here also on the way that you enter into the city, which is all county ground, and truly a beautiful setting that, you know, if that was all privately owned, that might create a lot of challenges, but you know, make sure to take special look at that. Now, they're very protective of that part, but it would seem to me that, you know, professionally engineered trail would be a complement to what they have there, in that accessibility to that's not great. So that's really the conduit between the two cities. And while I'm representing the county, I can't speak for them. I would assume that they're aware of this, Jackson's aware of this, everybody's on board with the review and analysis. That would seem to be something that might lend itself to a nice conduit. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, every park project that we do is, you know, is trails, number 1, 2, and 3 in terms of priorities. And so it's, you know, having those opportunities within those parks and then connections between parks is huge. Yeah. That's what everybody wants. So you guys are doing this at a great time, and you know, it's going to take a while to get implemented, but it's just, you got to start with a plan. And like I said, having understanding like Blockmuller has of the different funding venues that are out there is really good. So. Anyone else?
This is Ryan. I just have a comment. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ryan, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Someone had made a comment about, you know, possible federal funding to implement the trail connection. And I just want to make sure that when we get to our process of developing our criteria for evaluating options, that we keep in mind the federal criterion for those grant programs. So we just need to make sure that we're not going down a path and selecting an option, and then if we were to apply for a grant, find out that it doesn't meet certain criterion at the federal level. So we just want to make sure we're aware of their criteria when we're evaluating the options.
Thanks, Ryan. That's good. Good suggestion.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. You're more than welcome to stay and listen to us go through our agenda. Sure, no, I don't believe we have a quorum. We will finish through it, though.
All right. Alex, you want to talk about anything you can do?
Yeah, so I was trying to get this to our board on the April 17th meeting. Our deadline obviously being really May to get all the state and federal approvals of the work plan done by the end of June. So I have to give this a little bit of thought, but just quickly, I provided the one-pager handout again, a summary of all the projects we have planned for FY25. I have our draft work plan for the year. It's very similar to the one I printed out at our meeting last month, so I didn't reprint a bunch of them, but all of the comments I've received so far from the state and federal agencies have been incorporated. So now we're ready to release it for public comment. And I think if we could release it without a motion.
There's nothing to preclude you from doing that.
That's what I was assuming. it, so I wouldn't need.
And also the board can address it as well, but, you know, it's not a formal action that is put it public display.
I think I would prefer to keep it on track for an April
Yeah,
consideration.
I would agree.
So
Yeah.
I'll let this committee know that I'm gonna be releasing this for public comment, so folks can issue comments now or later if they'd like, but we'll take it to the board for consideration on April 17th. That'll give May and June time for final approvals. Let's folks have questions.
Next up is a resolution for TAP, right? I don't reckon we'll be able to do that, but.
This one's a little bit more of a formality too. Jackson has their TAP application due. When is it, 24th or something?
I think it's the 26th.
Yeah, so this
Maybe
is
the
their,
24th.
this is their only window to get the resolution done. So I'll just inform this group that I'll take this resolution to the board on the 17th for consideration. But they're going after a TAP application for Route D improvements in front of the Jackson Middle School.
Questions on that one? We'll go on to the comprehensive safety action plan.
So I provided another one, this one's actually a summary of the project status for our safety action plan. For our purposes, I'll just draw your attention to what they're currently doing and what some of the next steps are. They're working to review existing policies and programs. They're finalizing their policy and program recommendations. They're generating a list of safety countermeasures, also known as their safety toolkits. They'll be working to finalize their project list and their location prioritization list. Also have an administrative draft projected by the end of July. Following review and comments on the draft, we'll be looking to hold a third community open house in October. And then a plan completion at the end of December 2024, and then adoption by the end of January 2025. With our final report due to Federal Highway the end of March of 2025. Questions on our comprehensive safety action plan?
Right, move on to the intersection study.
As I had referenced, Jackson is going after a TAP grant based on the findings of their Route D study on the Jackson Middle School. That report was issued to our Jackson stakeholders on March 18th, and it was reviewed and accepted by them. So we do have the final report in hand. I provided a link in the email I sent out earlier to the report if folks are interested in finding. I found it very comprehensive, very well done. I thought it's been a lend itself really well to helping out with their grant application. As far as the 621 in Perryville Road, our steering committee was provided several different conceptual designs based on our site visit and our discussions. More after they reviewed the conceptual designs, they thought more discussion was merited, so we held another meeting to discuss the conceptual designs, and then our consultant agreed to provide some additional refined concepts based on those discussions. So they're working on those now. Jake, I think I saw an email where he sent something. Was that?
Yes, we have those. We're working with the park staff to discuss kind of internally what we would be leaning towards.
Okay.
And then we can take that out to the golf course, to see their participation, because it's going to be most of the designs infringed on they infringed on the golf course there. So we're gonna have a staff discussion to get on the same page. That's planned for Friday afternoon. And then we will kind of, once staff's all heading in the same direction, we'll take that to the course and see if any of those are viable concepts.
So projected right now, we're looking at, late April, more likely sometime in May, we'll see a final report on that. That's all for those.
All right, tip tool selection.
Which one is this? Oh, yes, we contracted with Eco Interactive. After our review team reviewed the 2 proposals that we had received, we're in a 3-year service and maintenance agreement with it. And we have another meeting with Eco Interactive this month on the 12th to go over their implementation, which is scheduled to be between 3 and 4 months. So we're still looking at June, July timeframe before we go live with the new software. That one, once folks have questions.
And on that. Origin and destination.
Okay. Folks will remember, we decided to partner with the SEMO RPC, the Cape Area Chamber of Commerce, and our SEMO Ready Regional Economic Development Group on a Placer.ai subscription. And we just sent our portion of that over in terms of payment. So I'm going to get with Drew and Jeremy and see if we can kind of coordinate a demonstration so folks can understand the capabilities and features. How our agreement or arrangement is structured is we have access to the information, but the Regional Planning Commission will actually be the entity that runs and generates the reports. So luckily, we don't have to learn how to use the software. We can say, hey, show me this location and provide its information. And regional planning is agreed to do that for us. So currently it's a 1-year agreement. And we'll just kind of evaluate how much benefit we receive from it, and we'll consider next year. That's all.
Any comments or questions on that? Move on to member reports, start with City of Cape.
Didn't happen to print off the data emailed to you, did you, Alex?
Okay, sorry, Jake, I missed that.
The update, I didn't know if I was gonna be able to make it, so I emailed you one. You don't have to have that with you, do you?
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm gonna wing it then. Currently TTF 5, we're finishing up West End Boulevard, just closing the project out. Main Street is still under design. Independence, that project has been shelved for now, due to lack of interest from some of the businesses along that route. So we're going to take the work that was done, put it on the shelf for now, and maybe circle back around to that in the future. Those monies will be reallocated to a different project. TTF 6, Lexington is under construction. They're working in between Sprigg Street and Old Sprigg Street right now. If you have to go through the area, please use extreme caution. If you can use alternate routes, we would appreciate that. That project is moving along. Drawing a blank. Our maintenance projects, we're working on Clark Street right now with our concrete street repair. Our asphalt overlay, they're finishing up quite a few of the streets. I see that one coming to a close soon. We just sent out for our 24 asphalt overlay just went to council. Poppy has been awarded that project. It will be South Frederick, South Middle, and Jefferson. So in the area around the river campus and South Sprigg. South Sprigg Street is under design. We plan to have that done the next few months, get that one out the door. Bird will follow with design. We'll probably leave that on the shelf. We have quite a bit of construction going on, so we'll wait until an opportune time to bid that one out so we get good prices. TAP projects, we are finalizing the intersection at Kings Highway, the Kings Highway sidewalk. All the work is now complete, testing period, and we will finalize that one, close it out. We had the pre-bid meeting for 74 Minnesota, that project, today. That will go to council May 6th, I believe. Then we are working on design of the rock sidewalk. So those TAP projects, they're under design. I believe that's it.
Do you have a guesstimate when the city's gonna kick off the educational campaign for the next TTF?
Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but probably within the next few months, we'll get the committee together. And we'll start.
Yeah,
working
we're,
towards it.
Yeah, I talked to the mayor. I think we're probably gonna convene that committee a little earlier than normal, just because there's so many new participants. So we're probably gonna convene in May. And usually the process of, developing the list and evaluating it and getting it together for the public participation portion usually takes a few months. So I would anticipate probably sometime early fall is when we would hold that. And then after that, the committee will finalize its recommended list and submit it to the council probably toward the end of the year. So I think normally September, October timeframe is when they have the public meetings.
Ryan, this is Jake Knudsen. That's great to hear. I was just gonna ask that question because as you talk about all of these projects, that will be TTF 7.
Yep.
Yes.
Clearly, the city departed from that type of communication campaign of this last tax, and you saw what it yielded. You marched out city people to sell an initiative and it failed. We cannot afford for the TTF to fail, and there's a different mentality out there in voters right now. Can you imagine where we would be at if we were not to be able to renew one of those TTFs? So sooner is better than later. Passion is so key to that committee, and telling the people what you've done and telling them what you're gonna do. Because I'll tell you what, there's a different mindset of a voter out there, and you learned that last night. And that's a public safety tax. But you look no farther than how it was presented. And we can't fall prey to that, to this TTF, because there is no money for it. And I know you know that. It's just good to hear that you're kicking that off sooner than later.
Yeah, and thank you for those comments. One thing I want to add about TTF, of course, as you know, in recent years, the focus has shifted more and more toward the maintenance type projects instead of, new streets. And so I think that's helped in the past, and I think we're going to build on that, and hopefully that will help us in addition to getting the early start, just being very, very careful and intentional with our, our public engagement. Hopefully that will, lead to success.
Very good.
Jake, did you say our intersection at Kings Highway and Cape Rock with the crosswalks, is that complete now?
All the work is done. We had a pre-final walkthrough with the consultant, MoDOT, and the contractor earlier this week.
Okay.
So there's a testing period and there's a little bit of a punch list, but the work is done.
Heads or whatever you call them.
They're installed now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
They're operational.
I saw them working. I saw
Yes.
people using them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Anything else for Kate?
That should be it.
Nice job.
Thank you.
No one from Jackson. South City, Kate County.
I did receive an update. Cape County indicated that they are opening bids this Thursday for the hot mix asphalt contract for the year. I saw that looks like it coincides with the city and what they're doing. And they got some information on that too. I looked, or you had some bids that were out. The other note I got here was, this is exactly how he sent it to me. We are waiting on MoDOT. When they are ready, we'll be receiving bids on 3 bridge projects in the county. I mean that, and that they just said that they got some bridge projects going on and they're probably working in conjunction with you to get that put together. So bridges, I'm sure, are a big challenge. That concludes comments from the county.
Oh, Jake, hey, I did get that email, so.
I think I hit
Good job.
it once. Okay.
Take no one to your email either.
Check it work. Did he cover everything?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Anything special?
We are under contract with Jokers for our 2024 asphalt overlay. And the only other thing, I'm not sure when they're gonna start waiting on the asphalt plants to fire up, but I would anticipate probably within the next month or so, we'll probably be working on the roads. And we do have a bid opening on a bridge project, on Cape Rock Drive, also County Road 643, just right outside of town, kind of northeast of Lexington. And if you go down to the bottom of Snake Hill, that bridge, and we are opening bids on April 30th for that project. That's all I have. Other than that, we're just cleaning up after the big storm, man. There's no leak in the
No one from
Yes, it'll come down.
transit.
Good.
No one from FEMA. Report. Report. SEMPO RPC, we have our TAC meeting next month. This, right?
I think it's this one.
Oh, yeah, I said TPC, I meant TAC. Yeah, it's this month. Forgot we're in April. So that's on the 23rd at 2. We're also still working on our comprehensive economic development strategy for the RPC. We've had numerous public meetings all throughout our 7 counties. Transportation has come up quite a bit, generally as a strength. There's also been some comments about transit as a weakness. But I would encourage anyone to get involved in that process. We've got a county meeting coming up May 1st. After the TPC meeting again. So if you want to get involved in that sales process, we're happy to have you. I think that's all I have for us. One from Video RPC, seen already. So Moda, who wants to go first?
I think I'll go first. Mike was on earlier, but he said he had some audio issues, so he bailed out. So I want to start with, we have a public meeting on the Route K corridor, and that will be held April 18th at the Notre Dame High School from 4 to 6 p.m. Chris had asked us to make sure we mention that so we can get a little bit better participation. Hopefully we have a news release. I think we do have a news release out on our website that you can go to and see that, but just as a reminder, for the current projects that are going on right now, the US 61 in Jackson, bridge work has started and they're placing concrete near Mary Street. Heading south, the sanitary sewer work is almost complete. And then the Route K project here in Cape, they're doing some widening on the south side. And that has started. And then they are anticipating doing some asphalt placement on what they're considering stage 1 in late April. And then for the last few lettings, we have some projects here. Let's say the March letting, there's a project to US 61 and Route K, it was asphalt pavement repair. Bids came in a little bit high on that. We are waiting to see what the commission will do. Commission, I think, is meeting today. And so we'll find out potentially later today if they've awarded that. And that was Route K east of I-55, 261, but it's repair, so it's not just random spots. And Route K from 61 or US 61 from Route K to west of I-55. Another project that last month is the signal improvements on Missouri 74 at I-55. I think they're gonna be signalizing the ramps, hopefully take care of some of the congestion issues that we're having there. And then we have an I-55 resurfacing project that's just north of the SEMPO boundary from Route FF approximately up to Route KK at the north end of the county. It is outside of the area, but it is something that many of us will probably see and encounter if we're on I-55 going north. And that is the March projects. Again, those are the March bids. Obviously, we don't get in front of the commission, so we'll find out how, if they award all of those or if they choose to reject the bids on some of them. For April, there is one project in the vicinity in the county, and that is the Route Y Bridge over Little Indian Creek, east of I-55. That will be in the April letting 19th. I don't remember, whatever day that is. Anyway, that will be in the April letting. That's the only project for there. We mentioned earlier the TAP deadline. Have it down for April 26th, and just thought I would mention again, the cost share program. We have deadlines for July the 19th and the 27th, or July the 19th and September 27th. There is an April 12th deadline, but if you haven't already been coordinating on that, it's probably well too late for that. And then the MTFC, the Missouri Transportation Finance Corporation, that does the low interest loans. They have application deadlines of May the 1st, August the 7th, and October the 12th, October the 2nd of this year. And I did get an email about the regional bridge program, where we'll be doing some funding for that. We mentioned that in the past couple of meetings. I don't remember that date exactly. But it's not imminent, but again, if counties are looking at doing some bridge projects, that application cycle will be starting. We need to be probably thinking about those. So, Melissa, you have anything?
The only thing I have is, I sent out an email, I think some of you got it, about our our TAP selection committee that we're gonna put together to review the TAP applications. So, I think everybody got that. The date to submit your scoring member and your non-scoring representative at the end of April. We're gonna have a virtual meeting just to discuss everything on May 7th. And we need our scoring results in from everybody on May 21st. And we'll have an in-person meeting on May 23rd at Papa Bluff to go over the scores. That's all I have.
I think we lost Mike and Mike.
Yeah, I think we lost both of them.
Anything else from or for MoDOT?
Joe, the shouldering on Route K,
Yes.
did you say that's gonna be out for letting?
Refer back to my notes. This is an active project. This is an active project that's already been let and awarded. And they are, if I'm understanding your version of the shouldering correctly, basically this is the widening that they're doing it on the south side of Route K. And they're actually, like, probably now it's probably just dirt work, and they're looking to do asphalt in late April.
This was the project that was in the STIP, right?
Yes. Well, it'd have been one of the projects that was in the STIP, because this was, I think, an individual project by itself. The other project that I mentioned was in the March letting, was Route K and Route 61. That was asphalt pavement repair.
Yeah.
So that's kind of various spaces.
I got you. Thank you.
Anything else? I don't.
No report?
FHWA.
This is Cecily Cochran. I've just had one thing just as to give you guys a heads up. I'm pretty sure you may have already received something from MoDOT. But as you all aware, you all already adopt performance targets for the applicable performance measures. And as you know, we had greenhouse gas be the newest one to start to be implemented. And targets were originally due in February, but they were delayed until the end of March simply because there were, I think, about 14 states that challenged the law regarding that. And so in Texas on last week, there was a ruling in favor of the state. And so we had a pause on the states submitting their targets for that March deadline. So originally, if the state had submitted last week, then the MPOs would have had to submit their targets in September. But due to that, the current hold that has been placed, you guys don't have to worry about that for right now. I'm sure more information will be coming down the pipeline on next steps for that. But I just wanted to give you all a heads up since I know you coordinate with MoDOT and Karen regarding all of your performance measures. If anyone has any questions, I'm available. I think Betsy's still on the line too.
Cecily, just for my clarification.
Yeah, thank you, Cecily. I don't have anything further to add. Thanks.
Hey, Cecily,
Mhm.
for the greenhouse gas targets, NPOs in attainment areas are still required to establish those targets. Is that correct?
Right now there's a hold on anything sort of regarding those targets. Simply because of the current challenges that are going on. So right now, I guess we will treat them as they are not due at this point until we receive further information from headquarters on how they would like to proceed regarding that particular performance measure. So right now, no one's submitting anything.
Okay. Thank you.
There was another court case in Paducah, Kentucky that just was resolved 2 days ago that totally overruled on the greenhouse gas.
Was it the Paducah MPO that just got stood up?
No, it was the lawsuit was filed in the federal court. I'm gonna read it.
People don't like those targets, huh? Making the states mad.
Yeah. Okay. Yesterday, Judge Benjamin Beaton of the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Kentucky ruled that FHWA lacks the authority to regulate greenhouse gas emissions through the FHWA mandate for states and MPOs to measure and set reduction targets for the on-road GHG emissions. This decision follows a similar judgment by Judge James Wiley Hendricks of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas, which invalidated the rule. And here highlighted in bold, considering the recent court decision, MPO and states are no longer required to submit GHG targets and reports.
So more to come then. I'll keep an eye on it. Thank you, Cecily.
I don't think we have anyone from FTA, so. Staff reports.
I'm done talking. We're good.
All right. Does anybody else feel like talking? Other business and communication? No. Next meeting, well, the board is the 17th and the TPC will May 1st. And since we don't have a quorum, I get to say we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.